In this video, we are going to take a look at how we can use the Loft tool in Autodesk Inventor to create a part that blends from one shape into another. To create a lofted part, the first thing that we need are two different profiles to loft between. So I'll create a quick example here. I want to create a shape that goes from a rectangular shape to a circular shape. I'll start with a rectangular sketch here. And then I'll finish. And then I want to have this transition to a circular shape. So I'm going to need another work plane above. So I'll choose my work plane tool, find the plane that I started with, and then I'll go ahead and drag that up. Some distance, we'll say 30 millimeters on this one. And then I'm going to sketch on this plane. And as you can see, it projects the origin, so I can keep these shapes nice and centered here. I'll create a circular shape. I could even constrain it to the first one if I want, but I'll go ahead and just enter in a value here for this shape. And that is really all I need to create a loft. Two different shapes on two different planes. I'll go ahead and choose my Loft tool. It's located here on the 3D Model tab in the Create panel. Here it is right here. And there's lots of different options here, but basically I need to start by selecting two profiles. So I'll select the first one here. Now if you do have a sketch that has multiple profiles, you'll have to actually select the specific profile that you want. Then I'll go ahead and select my second one here. It's fairly simple at first here to just blend from one shape to another. I'll go ahead and click OK to accept my shape here, and now you can see our loft going from a curved shape to a rectangular shape. I'm going to go back and adjust one of my sketches here. So notice that the loft consumed these two sketches. I'm going to edit this first sketch, and I'm going to actually make this a little bit smaller so we can look at some other options available to us. There we can see the new shape. And as you can see, it basically just transitions as quick as it can from one shape to the other. If I edit the loft, I have some additional options here on the Conditions tab. This controls the way the shape goes between the profiles. And the default here is the free condition. And again, that's just going to go as quick as it can from one shape to another. I can also use the direction condition. With the direction condition, I can set an angle that I want the lofted shape to come in and intersect the profile at. So right now it's set to 90 degrees. So essentially it's going to come in normal to this shape right at the end here. We also have a weight value, so I can control how quickly it transitions. By default it's 1. If I set it to a fraction of 1, such as 0.2, you can see the effect on the transition there. If I set it to a larger value, such as 2, you can see that it's a much slower transition, so I get a little more of a straighter feature here. Also notice that I have this option for each of the profiles as well, so I can come to the second sketch as well, adjust that option, and just the same adjust my weight as needed. So as you can see, a very different shape based upon adjusting those values. Just as we could compare a straight extrusion to a sweep where we go along a path, we can do the same sort of thing with a loft. Here I have a curved path, and I want to transition again from a rectangular shape to a circular shape. So I'll begin by sketching my two profiles. Very similar to the sweep tool, we can create work planes on each end by selecting the line and then the end point. Then I can use these to sketch my profiles. I'll start with the bottom here, and let's say that we're going to go from a circular shape down here on the bottom. And then we're going to transition to a rectangular shape on this plane. So I'll go ahead and project my geometry here and create a rectangular shape. Let's say we'll go 15 by 20. There we go. So now I can go ahead and create a loft that goes from each of these shapes. So I'll select one profile, then the other. So as you can see, once again, what it wants to do is just go as quick as it can from one shape to another. If I want to adjust the shape, one way I can do this is with the conditions that we just discussed. I can set each of these conditions to 90 degrees. And now you can see that they are normal to each surface. I can also adjust their weight as well and see the effects on those. The other thing that we can do is use a rail. So I've already got this sketch in here basically like a sweep. I'm going to come back with the Loft tool, select my two planes here. Then over here on the right, I'm going to click to add a rail, and I'll select this sketch shape here. Now you can see it disappears, and that's because of these options right here in the middle. The default option is for the rails to be along the outside of the shape. I want the one that's going to be in the center of the shape based upon how I sketched these items. I'll go ahead and select my shape again here. And now you can see that I'm going to get a blend between the two shapes while it is sweeping along that sketched path. We'll look at another example here. This time we've got several profiles. And initially I can use the command the same way. I'll start with the Loft tool. I'll select the first profile, then the second. I can continue clicking more profiles if I want. Now, as you can see, it's creating a very curved shape because it has to basically be tangent to each sketch plane as it goes through here. So that's one way I can control the shape. Let's say instead I wanted a little more of a straight connection between each plane. In that case, I'm going to have to do each one separately. So I'll loft from circle to square and click OK. Loft again. The sketch was consumed, so I'm going to click the plane here instead to create the next one. And then one more loft to create the last shape here. So once more, a very different shape. Now, one of the things that isn't great on this one is how these edges don't line up. So we can actually adjust this. For me to do this though, I'm going to actually have to create the features in a different order. I want to create this middle section last. So I'm going to undo a couple of times until I get back to this point. And then I'll go ahead and loft this back section here. Then I will come back in with the Loft tool one more time and go from the rectangular profile. I'm going to use my Select Other tool here to the circular profile. Again, you can see these edges and how they don't match up. I'm going to switch to the Transition tab. By default, Inventor is going to automatically map what that transition looks like. We can do this manually. I will clear the check mark next to Automatic Mapping, and we can see the 4 points that are mapped. Set 1 is selected, and I can see the two edges here, and I can also see that that particular line is highlighted. So what I can do now is I can come in here and click on the endpoint of this shape to line it up with that transition point. Then I'll select Set 2. And once more you can see that I'm adjusting this particular point. If I wanted to, I could click on the other edge so I could adjust it instead. But once more I'll snap to the endpoint of that shape. Move on to Set 3. Snap again. Move on to Set 4. And snap again. And now when I click OK, you can see I have a much more consistent transition between the shapes. That concludes this look at the Loft tool in Autodesk Inventor.